have been programmed to self-destruct. From childhood, they told you honesty is the best policy. They said, just be yourself. They promised, the truth will set you free. They lied. Look around. The honest man gets fired first. The transparent employee gets exploited. The authentic friend gets betrayed. You confuse virtue with strategy, and this confusion is killing you. Let us begin with a cold, biological fact that underpins every waking moment of your existence, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not. In the animal kingdom, there is no such thing as honesty. Honesty is a human invention, a fabrication of civilization, whereas deception is a fundamental law of physics and biology. Look closely at the natural world. Camouflage is a lie. The anglerfish's light, dangling in the crushing darkness of the abyss to attract hopeful prey, is a lie. The cuckoo bird's egg, laid in the nest of a warbler to be raised by a mother that does not know she is feeding a parasite, is a lie. The orchid mantis, which evolved over millions of years to look exactly like a harmless flower, only to decapitate the pollinator that lands on it, is a biological lie. The harmless milk snake mimics the color patterns of the deadly coral snake to terrify predators. Nature is an endless, brutal arms race of deception, and survival is predicated entirely on the ability to distort reality to your advantage. The creature that cannot lie starves. The creature that reveals its true location dies. This is the fundamental, inescapable law of the biological world. And despite your clothes, your air conditioning, your moral philosophy, and your smartphone, you are still a biological entity living in a predatory environment. The DNA in your blood is the same DNA that learned to hunt in the tall grass. Yet you, the modern civilized man, have been infected with a fatal software virus. You have been raised on the slave morality of total transparency. From the moment you could speak, you were fed a poison coated in sugar. Your parents told you, your teachers told you, the cartoons you watched told you, and society screams at you every single day that honesty is the best policy. They told you that if you simply bare your soul, expose your weaknesses, and speak your truth, the world will embrace you. They promised you that the truth would set you free. They promised you that if you play by the rules, the referee would be fair. This is the first lie you were ever told, and it is the primary reason you are failing. They did not teach you to be honest because it is virtuous. They taught you to be honest because transparent people are easy to control. Think about it from the perspective of power. Who benefits when you are an open book? Not you. Your employer benefits because they know exactly how little they can pay you before you break. Your government benefits because a compliant, predictable population is easier to tax and easier to herd. Your enemies benefit because they know exactly where to strike to cause the most pain. The system benefits because a predictable citizen is a safe citizen. You have been programmed to believe that the world operates on the just world hypothesis. This is a cognitive bias identified by psychologists where people inherently believe that the world is morally fair, that good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. This is the operating system of the victim. Look around you. Look at the evidence. Is that what you actually see? The world is not a meritocracy. It is a slaughterhouse for the naive. The people at the top, the CEOs, the politicians, the apex operators, they are not honest. They are strategic. They view truth as a currency. They spend it only when it buys them something. Meanwhile, you give it away for free. You bankrupt yourself of leverage every time you open your mouth to complain, to confess, or to bond. If you are tired of being the good guy who finishes last, If you are tired of watching less talented, more manipulative people climb over your back, then you must kill the part of you that seeks validation through transparency. You must delete the programming that tells you deception is bad and understand that the mask is not a tool of evil, it is the shield of the sovereign. To reconstruct your psychology, we must turn to the only man brave enough to write the manual for power, Niccolò Machiavelli. Most people read The Prince and think it is a history book. They are fools. The Prince is a diagnostic manual for human nature. It was written in the blood-soaked streets of 16th century Florence, a place where a handshake was often a prelude to a dagger in the kidneys. Machiavelli was not writing about how the world should be, he was writing about how the world is. He saw that the princes who tried to be loved, who tried to be honest, and who tried to keep their word at all costs, were the ones who lost their kingdoms and their heads. The princes who survived were the ones who knew how to be something else. In chapter 18, Machiavelli gives us the antidote to your weakness. He introduces the Centaur Protocol. He reminds us that Achilles, the greatest warrior of antiquity, was not taught by a philosopher, he was taught by Chiron, a centaur, half man, half beast. This is the secret that the modern world tries to hide from you. To be a sovereign individual, you must possess a dual nature. You must have the man, which represents the laws, the logic, the social contract, the rational debate, and the empathy. This is where you live 90% of the time. This is your civilized mask. This is who you are at dinner with your family. This is who you are when you are safe. But you must also have the beast, which represents force, instinct, deception, and the raw will to power. Here is why you are failing. You are 100% man. You try to use logic against people who are using leverage. You try to use fairness against people who are using force. You are bringing a rulebook to a knife fight. Machiavelli argues that a leader who lacks the beast is doomed. But he goes further, he dissects the beast into two specific archetypes, the lion and the fox. He writes that the lion cannot defend himself against snares and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves. Therefore, it is necessary to be a fox to discover the snares and a lion to terrify the wolves. Let us explore the historical context to understand why this is necessary. Machiavelli observed Cesare Borgia, a man who conquered the Romagna region of Italy. The region was full of robbery, feuds, and lawlessness. Borgia knew that to bring order, he had to be cruel. He appointed a man named Ramiro di Orco, a cruel and efficient minister, to pacify the region. Ramiro did the job. He executed criminals, he established order, and he made the people fear the law. But he also made the people hate him. Borgia knew that this hate would eventually turn on him. So, what did the fox do? One morning, the people of the town of Cesena woke up to find Ramiro de Orco cut in half, his body placed in the public square with a block of wood and a bloody knife beside it. With this one act, Borgia achieved two things. He purged the hate of the people by executing the man responsible for their suffering, and he terrified them into submission by showing them his power. The people were, as Machiavelli wrote, at once satisfied and stupefied. This is the power of the beast. A modern man would have held a press conference. A modern man would have fired Ramiro and given him a severance package. Borgia cut him in half. We are not advocating for violence, but we are advocating for the decisive, theatrical use of power. The lion is the external sword. It is the projection of power, the willingness to be disagreeable, the ability to say no with absolute finality. The fox is the internal shield. It is the ability to mask your intentions, to play the fool, to feed your enemies false information, and to navigate the fog of war without being detected. The modern educational system strips you of the lion by punishing aggression, and it shames you for the fox by calling it dishonesty. It leaves you toothless. It creates a population of prey. So let us descend into the anatomy of the fox. Most men misunderstand this archetype. They associate the fox with cowardice. They think of the weasel, the sneak, the rat. This is a mistake that keeps you poor. In the Machiavellian framework, the fox is not a coward. The fox is the grand strategist. While the lion relies on biological dominance and expensive energy to solve problems, the fox relies on cognitive dominance. It uses information, timing, and perception to solve problems before the lion even knows a problem exists. Machiavelli warns that the lion cannot defend himself against snares. This is your reality. You are not living in the Paleolithic era where the biggest threat is a tiger. You are living in a complex socio-economic hierarchy. The threats you face are not physical, they are systemic. The contract with the hidden clause is a snare. The coworker who blind copies your boss on an email to expose your mistake is a snare. The partner who tests your emotional control to see if you will break is a snare. The HR department that pretends to be your friend is a snare. If you react to them like a lion, with anger, shouting, or defensive outbursts, the trap snaps shut. You look unstable. You look dangerous. You are removed. The fox survives because the fox doubts appearances. To cultivate the fox, you must master the art of the iceberg. This is the discipline of keeping your true intentions, your true resources, and your true capabilities submerged. Society tells you to show your work and speak your mind. The fox knows that information is ammunition. Every time you speak your opinion, you are handing bullets to your enemies. If you tell them you are ambitious, they will sabotage you to prevent your rise. If you tell them you are struggling, they will mark you as weak prey. If you tell them your plans, they will build a defense against them. You must learn to become the grey rock. In the office, be pleasant but vague. Agree but commit to nothing. Listen more than you speak. Be a void. Because you give off no distinct signal, your enemies cannot calibrate their attacks. They do not know if you are a threat or a fool, and in that ambiguity, you are safe. This leads us to the concept of strategic incompetence. There are times when it is advantageous to appear less intelligent, less capable, and less observant than you actually are. Competence triggers envy. If you are the smartest person in the room and you show it, you become the target. The lion roars his competence, and the other lions gather to kill him. The fox feigns confusion. He asks for help. He makes the boss feel like a genius. By appearing harmless, you lower the guard of those around you. People speak freely in front of a fool. They leave confidential documents on the desk in front of the incompetent. They do not suspect the knife until it is already between their ribs. Now, let us drag this philosophy out of the 16th century and place it under the fluorescent lights of your reality. You do not live in the forests of Florence. You live in the corporate panopticon. You walk into this environment believing the lie that your company is a family, that HR is there to protect you, and that your output determines your outcome. This naivety is why you are stagnant. The modern corporation is a feudal court. There are kings, courtiers, and peasantry. The courtiers do not keep their power by working hard. They keep their power by managing perception. They are foxes. Meanwhile, you are the workhorse. You think that if you just work harder, the king will notice. The king does not notice the horse pulling the cart. He only notices when the horse breaks a leg, and then he shoots it. Consider the death trap of the confessional. This is a trap designed to filter out the weak. You are stressed, burned out, and treated unfairly. So, you do what the nice guy does. You go to the proper channels. You sit down with your manager or HR and you open up. You say you are feeling overwhelmed. You say you are struggling. You think you are building rapport or showing vulnerability. In reality, you have just handed the fox a loaded gun. To the corporation, your vulnerability is not a cry for help, it is a defect in the machinery. The fox manager nods and simulates empathy, but internally he is calculating. He now knows you are unstable. He knows you cannot handle pressure. When the time comes for promotion, he will not remember your honesty, he will remember your fragility. When the time comes for layoffs, you have just volunteered to be cut. The Machiavellian move is to never complain down and never complain up. If you are burning out, you fix it in silence. You strategically withdraw labor without announcing it. You use the fox to find a new position while smiling at your current one. You present an image of invincible stability, even if the internal reality is chaos. Consider the work best friend fallacy. You spend 40 hours a week with these people. It is natural to bond. You go to lunch. You complain about the boss. You share your dreams. You have forgotten the law of the jungle, which is that information is ammunition. When you tell your work friend that you are thinking of leaving, you have given them leverage. If a promotion opens up and it is between you and them, do you think that friendship will hold? This is the prisoner's dilemma in real time. Game theory tells us that when the stakes are high, rational actors will defect. They will casually mention to the boss that you aren't really committed to the long-term vision. Competition overrides camaraderie. Always. The fox is friendly with everyone, but intimate with no one. He collects the secrets of others, locking them in a vault, while his own life remains a blank canvas. Consider the performance of competence. You believe that results speak for themselves. This is false. Perception speaks for itself. This is known as the halo effect. If you look the part, people assume you are the part. Visualize two employees. Employee A is the mule. He works 60 hours a week, answers emails at midnight, and is always busy. Employee B is the magician. He works 30 hours a week, but presents his work with theatrical flair. He speaks only in meetings when he has a killer point. Who gets promoted? Employee A cannot be promoted because he is too useful where he is. If you promote the mule, who will pull the cart? Employee B gets promoted because he looks like a leader. He has executive presence. He has the lion's calm. Your boss does not have time to audit your work. They judge you by the feeling you give them. If you look stressed, you look weak. If you look effortless, you look powerful. We must also discuss the trap of the salary negotiation. This is where your honesty costs you thousands. The average man walks into a negotiation and explains his needs. He says he needs a raise because his rent has gone up, or because he has a new baby on the way. He appeals to the mercy of the employer. This is a slave mindset. The employer does not care about your rent. The employer cares about the cost of replacing you. The fox never appeals to mercy. The fox appeals to self-interest. The fox walks into the negotiation with another job offer in his pocket, even if he has no intention of taking it. The fox does not speak of his needs. He speaks of the value he provides and the risk the company faces if he leaves. He does not beg. He creates a dilemma for the master. He smiles, he is polite, but the threat is implicit. This is the difference between asking for charity and demanding a ransom. Let us dig deeper into the psychology of the nice guy. The nice guy is not actually nice. He is harmless. There is a distinction. A harmless man is not virtuous because he has no capacity for destruction. He is simply a victim in waiting. The Machiavellian man is capable of great destruction but chooses to keep his sword sheathed. This is true virtue. This is the difference between a garden snake and a cobra. You must become the cobra. You must have the venom, but you must have the discipline not to strike until it is absolutely necessary. The nice guy is honest because he is afraid of conflict. He tells the truth because he fears the consequences of the lie. The sovereign man tells the truth when it serves him and lies when it protects him. He is not bound by a moral code written by his masters. He writes his own code. So, how do you build this mask? How do you override 30 years of programming? We will install specific protocols into your operating system. First, you must master the fog. The first mistake you make is over-communication. When you are nervous, you talk. When you want approval, you explain yourself. You must learn to embrace the fog, the deliberate withholding of clarity. Humans are terrified of the unknown. When you are silent, people project their own anxieties onto you. The tactic is the 3-second void. When someone asks you a trap question, do not answer immediately. Look them directly in the eyes. Count to 3 in your head. In that silence, the power dynamic shifts. They start to wonder if they offended you. Then, give a non-committal answer. Instead of saying yes immediately, say you will see if it aligns with the schedule. You are not lying. You are simply not revealing your position. You are a ghost, and you cannot hit a ghost. Second, you must master the art of tactical submission. The ego is your enemy. The ego wants to be right. The fox wants to win. In a hierarchy, your superiors are likely narcissists. They do not want your talent, they want your submission. If you challenge them openly, they will crush you. So you feign inferiority to hide your accumulation of power. When a superior proposes a foolish plan, do not argue. Instead of pointing out why it won't work, say that you see their vision and ask them how they would handle the specific flaw you noticed. Let them find the error. Make them feel like the genius. This is the Trojan horse. You lower your walls and let them bring you inside their circle because you seem harmless. But once you are inside, once you have their trust and their data, you can execute your own agenda. Never outshine the master unless you are ready to replace him. Third, you must master the protocol of the selective flaw. This is a subtle art derived from the law of envy. If you appear too perfect, too competent, and too moral, you will trigger a deep, primal hatred in your peers. They will not understand why they hate you, but they will sabotage you because your perfection holds a mirror to their inadequacy. The fox knows this danger. So, the fox manufactures a small, harmless flaw to display to the public. You must design a defect that makes you relatable but does not damage your authority. Perhaps you admit to being addicted to caffeine and make a joke of it. Perhaps you admit to having a messy desk. Perhaps you feign a lack of knowledge about pop culture. You give the envious mob a small bone to chew on. You let them feel superior to you in this one trivial way. By exposing a fake weakness, you distract them from searching for your real weaknesses. You control the narrative of your own flaws. You are the architect of your own reputation, and a perfect reputation is a fragile one. A slightly flawed reputation is anti-fragile. Fourth, you must master the lion's reveal. The fox is your daily driver, your default setting for the 99% of interactions that require strategy. But there will come a moment when the fox fails. A colleague steals your work openly and refuses to back down. A boss crosses a line of personal disrespect that cannot be ignored. A situation arises where deception will not work and only force remains. If you continue to play the fox here, you are a coward. This is the moment for the reveal. It must be shocking. It must be a total break from your usual character. Do not shout. Shouting is a sign of weakness. It shows you have lost control of your emotions. The lion is still. The lion is heavy. When you drop the mask, drop your voice tone. Speak slower and deeper. Remove all filler words. Maintain 100% eye contact. You deliver the ultimatum and then you withdraw. You rely on the contrast principle. Because you are usually so quiet, so agreeable, so fox-like, this sudden flash of pure aggression is terrifying to the recipient. It signals to their lizard brain that they have pushed you too far. They do not know what you are capable of because they have never seen this side of you. Use the lion rarely, maybe once a year, but when you use it, make sure the destruction is total. Make sure they remember it for the rest of their lives. Let us look at a historical master of this balance to prove it is possible. Talleyrand. He was a diplomat who survived the French Revolution, the reign of Napoleon, the restoration of the monarchy, and the rise of the Republic. Leaders fell, heads rolled, governments collapsed, but Talleyrand remained. How? He was the ultimate fox. He never committed fully to an ideology. He committed to reality. He made himself indispensable to whoever held the crown, but he never tied his fate to theirs. When Napoleon began to overreach, Talleyrand quietly began to negotiate with Napoleon's enemies, not to betray France, but to save it from a madman. He was called a traitor by some, but he survived while the lion, Napoleon, died in exile. The lesson of Talleyrand is that your loyalty must be to your own survival and your own long-term interests, not to a company logo or a temporary boss. We must also address the modern psychological weapon of gaslighting. This is the favorite tool of the corporate narcissist. When you point out an issue, they will tell you that you are overreacting. They will tell you that you misunderstood. They will try to make you question your own perception of reality. The honest man tries to argue with facts. He brings up emails. He tries to prove he is right. The fox understands that you cannot use logic to fight a psychological game. The fox does not argue reality. The fox records it. When you are being gaslit, you do not engage. You write it down. You keep a shadow log. Every time the narcissist lies, you record the date, the time, and the lie. You do not show them this log. You keep it. When the time comes for the inevitable conflict, you do not argue. You present the data. You send the email with the timestamps. You destroy their narrative not with emotion, but with the cold weight of evidence. Furthermore, we must discuss the law of isolation. The predator always tries to isolate the prey from the herd. In a toxic work environment, a manipulator will try to cut you off from your allies. They will tell you that others are talking about you behind your back. They will try to make you paranoid. They want you to feel that they are your only friend. This is how cults operate, and this is how toxic managers operate. The antidote is the network. You must cultivate relationships outside of your immediate team. You must have allies in other departments, in other companies, and in other industries. When you have a strong network, you are harder to isolate. You have perspective. You have options. The man with options is the man with power. The man with no options is a slave. Now, let us turn to the difficult subject of the exit strategy. A fox never enters a room without knowing where the exit is. Yet, most people live their lives without an exit strategy for their career, their relationships, or their lifestyle. They assume stability. This is a fatal error. You must always be prepared to walk away. The power to walk away is the only true power you have in a negotiation. If you cannot walk away, you have already lost. You must build a fuck you fund. This is a savings account that covers 6 months of expenses. This money is not for a vacation, it is for your freedom. When you have this money, You walk differently. You speak differently. You do not tolerate disrespect because you know you do not have to. Your boss can smell this on you. It is the scent of sovereignty. When the time comes to leave, you must execute the phantom leave. The honest man burns bridges. He tells everyone off on his last day. He writes a scathing exit email. This feels good for 5 minutes, but it costs you for 5 years. The fox leaves without a ripple. You are gracious. You thank them for the opportunity. You smile. You tell them you are moving on to a new challenge. You keep the bridge intact, not because you like them, but because you might need to cross it again, or you might need to burn it later when it is more strategically advantageous. You do not let them see your anger. You leave them wondering if they made a mistake in letting you go. You become a ghost, and a ghost haunts the mind far longer than a shouting man. Let us go deeper into the psychology of observation versus participation. The modern world is an attention economy. It demands your participation. It demands that you post, that you comment, that you react. The fox practices the discipline of observation. When you are in a meeting, stop trying to be the smartest person who talks the most. Sit back, watch the room. Look at who looks at whom when a difficult question is asked. Look at whose hands are shaking. Look at who is bored. This is the subtextual data that rules the hierarchy. While the lions are roaring and fighting for attention, the fox is building a map of the social dynamics. This map is worth more than any technical skill. It tells you who holds the real power, who is sleeping with whom, who is afraid, and who is ambitious. We must also inoculate you against the weaponized guilt. The system uses guilt to keep you in line. We are a family, they say. We need you to pull your weight. Don't let the team down. This is emotional blackmail. A business is not a family. A business is a sports team. You are there to perform, and they are there to pay you. If you stop performing, they will cut you. If they stop paying you, you will leave. That is the contract. Do not let them muddy the waters with false morality. When they try to use guilt to get you to work unpaid overtime, recognize it for what it is, a manipulation tactic. Smile and say, I am fully committed during my contracted hours, but I have prior commitments. You do not need to explain what those commitments are. Watching paint dry is a commitment. Your time is your property. Do not let them steal it with guilt. Now, a warning about the infection of the soul. There is a danger that in fighting monsters, you become a monster. There is a danger that you become so cynical that you cannot enjoy the beauty of life. You must compartmentalize. The fox and the lion are for the arena. They are for the market. They are for the war. But you must have a sanctuary where you can take off the mask. You must have a place, perhaps with your spouse, your children, or your God, where you are naked and true. If you wear the mask in the sanctuary, you will suffocate. You must learn to switch codes. When you walk through the door of your office, the mask goes on. When you walk through the door of your home, the mask comes off. This split existence is not schizophrenia. It is adaptation. It is the centaur. The man who is the same person in the boardroom as he is in the bedroom is a fool who will destroy his career and his marriage. Let us return to the concept of the sovereign soul. What does it mean to be sovereign? It means that your internal state is not determined by external events. The honest man is a leaf in the wind. If the boss praises him, he is happy. If the boss criticizes him, he is crushed. He has outsourced his emotional regulation to his masters. The sovereign man validates himself. He knows his own worth. He knows that his job is what he does, not who he is. He views the corporate game as a simulation. He plays it to win, but he knows it is just a game. This detachment is the ultimate freedom. When you do not need their validation, you become impossible to control. Consider the metaphor of the grey man. In the world of intelligence and special operations, the grey man is an operative who blends into any environment. He is forgettable. He is average height, average build, wears average clothes. He does not stand out. He moves through crowds without bumping into anyone. He is invisible. This is your goal in the initial stages of your rise. Do not be the peacock. The peacock gets eaten. Be the grey man. Accumulate power in the shadows. Let others take the credit if it means you avoid the blame. Let others shine if it means you can work undisturbed. Power is not about fame. Power is about influence. The most powerful people in the world are people you have never heard of. They are the foxes who whisper in the ears of the lions. We must also destroy the myth of fairness. You will often hear people complain, "That's not fair." Remove this phrase from your vocabulary. Fairness is a concept invented by weak men to restrain strong men. Nature does not know fairness. The storm is not fair to the ship. The virus is not fair to the host. The market is not fair to the business. When you expect fairness, you are setting yourself up for resentment. Instead of looking for fairness, look for leverage. Do not ask what you deserve, ask what you can negotiate. Do not ask for justice, ask for advantage. This shift in mindset from victim to operator will change your life faster than any positive thinking affirmation. Finally, we must address the ultimate deception, self-deception. The easiest person to fool is yourself. You tell yourself you are staying in that dead-end job out of loyalty, but really it is fear. You tell yourself you are being nice by not asserting your boundaries, but really you are being weak. You must look in the mirror with the cold, hard gaze of the scientist. You must ruthlessly audit your own behavior. Where are you acting out of fear? Where are you seeking validation? Where are you being the naive prey? The fox analyzes himself first. We have dissected the anatomy of the beast. We have handed you the weapons of the shadow. We have walked through the valley of the shadow of death that is the modern corporate world. But the map is not the territory. Knowing these things is useless if you do not apply them. You will walk out of your door tomorrow and you will be tested. The snare will be waiting. The wolf will be watching. Will you fall back into the old programming? Will you bare your throat and hope for mercy? Or will you remember the centaur? You are not the fox. The fox is just a tool in your hand, a precise instrument for navigating the maze. You are not the lion. The lion is just a weapon at your side, a heavy hammer for shattering the glass. You are the sovereign soul commanding them both. Machiavelli did not write The Prince for evil men. He wrote it for princes. He wrote it for men who have a burden of responsibility, men who must protect their families, their states, and their legacies from the chaos of the world. A man who cannot be cunning cannot protect his children from the wolves. A man who cannot be dangerous cannot protect his wife from the savages. Honesty is a beautiful thing. It is the language of love, of family, of God. It is the currency of heaven. But you cannot speak the language of heaven when you are walking through hell. If you try to speak the language of angels to demons, they will devour you. Reserve your honesty for the few who deserve it. Reserve your vulnerability for those who have proven their loyalty in blood. Reserve your truth for the sanctuary of your own home. For everyone else, for the corporation, for the state, for the stranger, for the enemy, give them the mask. The world does not want you to be strong. It wants you to be obedient. It wants you to be a cog. It wants you to be fuel for the fire. Disobey, wake up, sharpen your teeth, learn the way of the fox. Master the way of the lion, and never, ever let them see you coming. This is the cold awakening. The simulation is over. The game has begun.